Paula sat on the corner of her father's desk. Shuffling a deck of playing cards, she sat listening to her uncle and father take turns sharing stories from their childhood. Paula's mind drifted back to the other night as the men talked about the shenanigans they'd gotten up to as children. All she could think about was the softness of Dani's hands and how she wanted them everywhere. In her hair, wrapped around her neck, images of what she wanted to do to the woman and what she wanted the woman to do to her played out in her mind like a movie. "Paula," her dad said a bit forcefully, causing Paula to snap out of her daydream. "I'm sorry, what?" she asked, coming back to reality. Polly and Vinny looked at one another, chuckling before Polly turned his attention back to his daughter. "Your brother needs to be picked up from his friend's house," said Polly. Since Vinny's arrival, Polly hadn't been up for outings. The brothers spent their days at the safe house and their nights at underground bars and one of Polly's many hideouts. Hopping off her father's desk, Paula scooped up her keys. "Could you pick up some beer on your way back, please?" Vinny asked as she made her way to the door. Paula gave her uncle a thumbs up before heading out the door. After hopping into her car, she texted her brother to get his friend's address. They really needed to get him a car. Sitting in traffic, Paula picked up her phone to let her brother know that it'd take her a minute to get to him when the device dinged with a message from Dani. "Is it bad that I've been thinking about you all day?" The message read. Paula couldn't help but grin as her thumb slid across her screen. "Geez, obsessed much?" Paula wrote back. Before she had the chance to even set her phone down, it dinged with another message. "Ordering a life-sized cutout of you as we speak." Dani replied. Traffic began to move again, and Paula placed her phone into the cup holder. "I'm starving," Mikey said as he hopped into the car and closed the door. Paula looked at her brother and laughed. "What, your friend didn't feed you?" she asked, pulling back onto the road. We didn't really have time for all of that," Mikey said, scratching the back of his neck. It took Paula a second, but she finally put two and two together. "Gross," she said, turning onto the main road. Since Mikey was in the mood for pizza, they headed to a little spot not too far from Times Square. Though Paula usually avoided all touristy areas like the plague, Don's Pizza Place sold the best pizza in all of New York City, probably the whole state even. Pulling up in front of the pizza spot, a smile spilled across her face as she spotted the woman standing in line. "So we meet again," Paula said, causing the other woman to turn around. There was a moment of shock before Dani quickly recovered and smiled. "Hey you," Dani said, pulling Paula into a hug. She wore that same sweet vanilla-scented perfume, taking Paula back to the night they'd first met. Pulling back from the embrace, Paula stood beside Dani, her arm still wrapped around the other woman's waist. "Dani, this is my baby brother Mikey. Mikey, this is Dani," Paula said, introducing the two. Dani opened her mouth to say something when a tall man called her name. Turning around, Paula looked over at the man who held up two plates. "I'm sorry, that's my coworker. We're on our lunch break," she explained. Paula gave an understanding nod before Dani turned to her and pulled her into a hug. "Can I call you later tonight?" Dani asked, her face inches from Paula's. Paula couldn't help but grin as she nodded her head. "I look forward to hearing from you," she said, biting her lower lip. Dani smiled before leaning in for a kiss. Thereafter, Dani turned around and made her way over to her coworker. Turning back to face her brother, Mikey looked back at her with the stupidest grin on his face. "Shut up," she said, playfully shoving him. Turning their attention back to the front of the store, they made their way up to the counter and ordered their pizza to go. Then, after waving goodbye to Dani and her coworker, they made their way to their car.
Enjoyed this video? Want to be notified when the next one drops? Then subscribe and hit that bell to be notified. Also, share this with a friend who you think might enjoy this story.